What's up, guys? Matt here, coming at you with another retro deck profile. Today we're going to look at Majid Khan's, and I apologize if I butchered that name, but Salvo Chaos or Salvo Dad deck for March 2011. This deck got top 4 at YCS Anaheim. I believe we did Billy Breaks X Sabers from this. The event was won by like an anti-meta hero deck. There were Gravekeepers. There was a really cool Chaos Plant list that I do want to also profile, some GBs and things like that. But we'll get right into the list. I think this event really underrated the beginning of the March 2011 format pre-Tengu. I think pre-Tengu is really fun. And then like you get Tengu and then plant just becomes absolutely insane. But here you can have things like Samurai running around and things like that. And you can have something like Salvo. I have seen a few lists from 2010 where this deck was kind of popular. But I kind of wanted to do this one because I thought it would look really cool. And then thought it'd be really fun to do some Salvo Dad. Plus I played it a lot. So we have the 2 Black Salvo, namesake of the deck. There aren't a lot of great 7s without Dark Strike Fighter, because it has to be a little 4. So, but the card still is good, and it pairs really well with like Cyber Dragon, with like Scrap Dragon and things like that, because you can go Cyber Dragon and bring back a target, and then sink 8 and then target the card you brought back, which is pretty cool. And then 3 Dekoichi as our target. We want to draw cards with this guy. Knock wasn't super prevalent, especially in the main board. This deck decided I do not have the sideboard, unfortunately, for this deck, but I definitely wanted to get this deck out there. So you have your 3 Dekoichis. You can still definitely set cards in this format. It's not like setting cards is bad by any means. It's still not necessarily considered too slow or anything like that, or hasn't been a mechanic that had been power crept out. So this is our main like synchro engine here. We also have 2 Thunder Kings and 2 Doomcals. This is essentially an anti-meta deck that also happens to be all the anti-meta cards being light and dark, so we can play Chaos variants and things like that. So we have a bunch of Chaos monsters in there and things like Dark Armed, but it is essentially an anti-meta deck with the monsters where we just want to stun. We're not playing any Light Sworn monsters. We're not trying to mill and then turbo through some Chaos monsters. That's not how this deck works. The goal is, kind of slow and steady and, slowly build up advantage by stunning our opponent. On the proof of concept, we want to simplify our game state here, so we have 2 breakers. This is a great way to pop back row in a format without heavy. So we do not have Heavy Storm. This is the last Trunade format. Another great anti-meta card, 1 Gale. This card is really good. Again, we can cut Stardust with it. It's just a good tuner to have. So and it gives us access to Armor Master in the extra deck, which is really important as well. It's a really good card. We have 2 Cyber Dragons, and again, another good anti-meta card. This deck doesn't like to go second because of wanting to put Thunder King and Doomcal and things like that on the board. So we want to be able to do that uninterrupted. So this card helps us with our game, or going second game 1. 2 Spirit Reaper. This card is really good in this format. I really enjoy Spirit Reaper. Not so great against Gravekeepers because they have the Descendant Recruiter play that they got in Star Strike Blast. Last format, getting Recruiter. But it is really good at stalling X Sabers, and it's semi-good at stalling plants and things like that, but it's also really good against Absolute Zero stalling that card, so it is what it is there. Again, the aforementioned Dark Armed. Of course, we want to play Dark Monsters. We're going to play Dark Armed. This card is really good. And we can manipulate our Dark count by summoning our 2 Chaos Sorcerers. No Soldier. We are 1 format away from Soldier coming back on the September 2011 list. So no Soldier just yet, but we do have the 2 Chaos Sorcerers, again, which aren't really the key focus of the deck. And then the last few monsters here, we have 1 Gorz. You have to respect the Gorz. Especially in a Trunade format where things can kind of come back to your hand. And then 2 Effect Veiler. It is a really good effect negation for turn 1 going second. Again, we want to improve our going second game 1 rates here. And this card was really good, and it's a light for our Chaos monsters. So we'll get into the spell lineup here. Spell lineup is pretty small. Of course, 1 Allure of Darkness. We want to draw cards. Allure of Darkness, we have plenty of dark monsters to make this card live. 1 Allure, and then 1 Pot of Duality. Interesting to see with only 1. I have seen this in a few other lists, and the explanation was that game 2 and 3, you want to see your side deck cards more specifically, or more often, and specifically you want to see, like, not necessarily floodgates, but because you're playing an anti-meta deck, this is true for anti-meta decks here. If you're playing an anti-meta deck, you're essentially siding out generic cards that are good against everything for cards that are specifically against your matchup. So you want to try and see those cards as soon as possible. So Pot of Duality is a really good 40th card because we don't special summon too often. We have the Salvo, and then we have the Cyber Dragons and things like that. But for the most part, we're just, kind of plopping out a big beat stick monster and then attempting to simplify the game, say with things like Breaker, or get in with Spirit Reaper, or just kind of stun with Thunder King or with Doomcal. One Smashing Ground, good 1-for-1 removal. And to go along with that, we have one Dark Hole. Again, being able to clear the board and then put out a stun monster is a great way for going second. We want to be able to make sure that our monster is, definitively the monster on the board. The more simple the game state, the better for this deck. One Book of Moon, one Monster Reborn, and then we only have 2 MSTs this format. We would get the third spaced on the next list, but we have 2 MSTs to round out the spells. Again, no Heavy Storm. This was a non-Heavy Storm format. We would swap Heavy for True Nade in September. Again, no Heavy, but we do play 2 Dust Tornadoes. It's interesting to see that he decided not to play True Nade, and because of that, he opted to also not play Dust Shoot. I like Dust Shoot, and I think Dust Shoot is really good if you play True Nade and Dust Shoot. So if you were to take these out and play 1 True Nade, 1 Dust Shoot, I can completely understand that logic as well, because True Nade, you put all those cards back to your opponent's hand, you set the Dust Shoot is not live. So if you're blowing the cards back, your Dust Shoot is going to resolve more often than not. And then if you would go with that route, you could also play the combo well with the 1 of Mind Crush. Mind Crush was limited on this list. We go to 2, I believe, on the next list, but it was still a limited card. It's a really powerful card, especially against Dark Soul. And if they hit if they search out Necro Valley through Terraforming a Commandant, you can Mind Crush that and get that out of there, so you can resolve your Chaos monsters, which is a really cool way to get those cards out of your opponent's hands before they resolve. So if you can Mind Crush them and get that out, and then if they go end phase Dark Soul, they're setting up for that big play with that Fault Troll. You can essentially take one of those X-Saber monsters, rip the Boggart Knight, or whatever they would summon off the Boggart, and then their big guy is dead in hand. So that's really nice. So you can really stop those Fault Troll plays. For Battle Traps, 1 Mirror Force and 2 Deep Prisons. Pretty standard there. 1 Torrential Tribute, and then the Solemn Brigade here, it was the same, 1 Judgment, 2 Warning. This is what the Brigade was at the time. In, I believe, September 2010 was the only format that we had 3 warnings, I believe. So that's why another reason I enjoy that format. I guess up until now, I believe Warning is completely unlimited in the current game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I wouldn't know, I don't really play, but I believe that's true from what it is on Dueling Book. And then we will get on to the extra deck here. The only 5 we play is the one of Catastor. Get Dark Monster. It's not really easy to make because we don't have any level 2 non-tuners in the main board. So like if we summon Salvo, we're not had a level 2 on board, we wouldn't be able to make this. So the only way we can make this is with Valor. For 6s, we have the 1 Brio. This is definitely the staple 6 at the time. And then 1 Gaia Knight. No Goyo Guardian in this format. Goyo Guardian was banned, so we were playing the 1 of Gaia Knight if we wanted to make another 6. 1 Black Rose Dragon. This was the absolute staple 7, so we have the 1 of Black Rose. 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon. This card was actually really relevant because of the Gravekeeper matchup, because you wanted to blow up Necro Valley. So this was an important way to get to that. So it was essentially Salvo and a 4. Will allow you to do that. So even if you couldn't under Necro Valley summon, because of the restriction of Necro Valley, if you were able to keep that 4 alive, you were able to pop that Necro Valley. 1 Scrap Archfiend, 2700 Beastic, vanilla monster. Again, because of Salvo and the 7s, we're just kind of chucking as many 7s in our extra deck as we possibly can, because that's what we can make. 1 Arcanite Magician, because we do have Spellcaster level 4s like Breaker. And then, of course, the aforementioned Armor Master to round out the 7s. And then we're going to go on to 8s, which we would do with our Cyber Dragon plays. We have the 1 Stardust Dragon, staple 8. The 1 Scrap Dragon. This, again, the play earlier was Cyber Dragon, and then you can get your Dekoichi back with your Salvo, and then pop the Dekoichi. And then, so that was essentially a free way to do that. One, Red Dragon. This card was really good at dealing with Spirit Reaper. Again, there's not too many outs to that card. I know there were some decks that were playing enemy controller just to target it and put it in attack position and then blow it up. And one Colossal Fighter. There were a fair amount of warriors with things like Samurai, and then a few of the X-Sabers of warriors, so you can make this nice and big. One Mistworm is the only 9. We still did not have Trish just yet, so no Trish, so Mistworm. And then the last cards are 2 Chimeric Fortress Dragons, because we play 2 Cyber Dragons and we want to be able to contact out any of those machines in case there's any pesky card troopers or anything like that where we don't want to give advantage to our opponent. There will be some duels in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe for more retro format content. Thanks for watching, guys.